guys, it's Swatch Sunday number 4, and I've got some Physicians Formula finds. I had been asked to swatch some of the powders that I hauled during my first Thrifty Thursday, and I tried to get through everything that I have. Unfortunately, I have quite a few, so this will have to be a two-parter. So here's a look at one of the ones that I found at Dollar Tree. Unfortunately, it fell apart a little bit. I did try putting it together with the alcohol method, but yeah. So here's a look at that one in disarray. I did try to swatch both the darker and the lighter pieces, and as you can see, these are way too light for me to use. The shade is Blushing Organics. So when I first found these at Dollar Tree, which all of these I purchased at Dollar Tree, there were 5 of them, so $1 each. I was hearing from people that they were coming off very dry and they couldn't get any color. So I am able to get color, and I found that like that first one, when it broke and I put it back together with alcohol, it was much more pigmented. So if you're having that issue, maybe try saturating it and rubbing alcohol and allowing that to dry overnight or a day. But yeah, again, so this one is just far too light. It's a very light pink and then a deeper pink, but they're still just too light to be used as blushes for me. This one is Mauve Organics. It looks pretty deep here in the pan, but again, it's pretty light. It does at least give off a pink tone, so that's something I guess you could certainly use it if you were very fair. Now this one is called Warming Organics, and it's more of a, I guess, bronzer shade, more so than it is a blush. I actually quite like this one. They all come off a little bit powdery, so that's one thing. But this one at least does kind of work with my tone, so it could be used as a highlight for me. For others, it may actually work as a bronzer because it's in that kind of brownish golden spectrum. And then that's a peach, but that one would be far too light for me to use as a highlight. It would probably work for others, though. If you were maybe 3 or 4 shades lighter than me, that could probably be a great highlight. So this is another Dollar Tree find, Pink Organics. And again, it's got that kind of light pink, almost white, or beige. And then this deeper one, at least it looks deeper in the pan. It's kind of a mauve shade, which would be very pretty. In the pan, I really like it, but on me, it just, again, comes off a little bit too light. And to explain my nails, I do henna treatments. If anyone's familiar with that, henna is a plant that is ground and then used as a dye. I use it in my hair, but it does do some staining, so my nails are almost always yellowish or, reddish. So, yeah. So this is another Dollar Tree find, Tan Organics. It's a 3-in-1, or it's meant to be a 3-in-1. On the bottom here is a brush and the mirror. This brush is like a crescent handle. It's actually quite good. It's nice and soft. And a version of this brush comes with most of these palettes. I really like the packaging. A lot of the items that come to Dollar Tree don't end up in their original packaging, so I was glad to see that these were. That shade is not too bad on me. This one is, again, far too light, but I believe that this is for a lighter skin tone. And then this lightest shade is quite shimmery. I don't know if that's coming across in the video. So that last shade and the first one that I swatched, I would actually use both of those. So this is a 2-in-1 blush and bronzer. Again, this is another Dollar Tree find. So I assume they have more of these. This is the only one, though, that I found. So that shade is not at all what I expected. I've never swatched these before, but I expected that to be much deeper. Now that gingery blushy shade isn't too bad. You can actually see that there is some color coming off, but they're both just far too pale for my complexion. So I don't know, maybe Physicians Formula is not for women of color. Ugh, I don't know, I hate to say that. So this is the Bronze Gems. There is the matte, which is that main color, and then they have some of those brights, which are the gems off to the side. Again, this one comes with a brush and a mirror. The packaging is the original packaging, and this was purchased at Dollar Tree. And once again, I would highly recommend that you at least try the brushes. They're actually not bad at all. So there's that shade. Pretty good if you're going to use that as a bronzer. It's not too shimmery. And then when you use those gems, they come off pretty true to the color that they appear to be. They're just not that opaque color-wise, and they do have a ton of shimmer. So the shimmer comes through full throttle, not so much the color though. Still, they are pretty much what they appear to be, so this isn't bad for $1. Alright, so that's that whole basket. Here's the next batch. These are all also purchased at Dollar Tree. I love the packaging. This one I wish it was packaged differently because you can't really tell what shade that's meant to be. It looks like this is another one of those matte and brights. The main shade is a pretty good bronzing shade, I'd say. Definitely not for women of color, but for those who are fairer. And those shades, the hearts, are pretty true, although once again, they're not super pigmented. But that's good. I believe you could probably build them up pretty nicely. Now this one actually gives off a little bit of a violet kind of purpley shimmer in person. I couldn't get that to capture on camera though. Once again, there's no packaging on the back to tell you, what this is supposed to be. But you can see even in the packaging, it's very, very shimmery. Once I swiped it away though, I saw that some of that shimmer went away. So I did one swipe there so you can see what it looks like on the top, and then I went back in and did another swipe so you can see what it looks like without that kind of overspray. Pretty similar. The first one is though much more shimmery. Okay, so I found 3 different looking finishing powders and they all swatch exactly the same, so I'm just going to use the one that I've been using. Again, no packaging to tell you, or no labeling, I guess I should say. So here's what it looks like when it goes on. It's basically pretty much translucent. It just gives you kind of an illuminating effect. I like it. I apply it with one of those e.l.f. cheapy powder sponges. This is the Physicians Formula Healthy Wear, and because it's got the original packaging, I know that it is in tan. It's actually meant to be a bronzer. However, this is pretty close to my shade. Again, it has that brush, and it's got a mirror as well. The mirror is actually on top in this one. So you'll see that's pretty much my shade. So although it is a little shimmery, I just use it as an illuminator or luminizer, and it builds up a little bit too, so that's nice. Of course, it seems like most of these face powders do have shimmer in them. Not everybody wants to go out looking like a disco ball, but if you want to go for that just occasionally, these are something you could certainly reach for. So these have just adorable packaging. It twists, so all of them twist out like this. There's the brush and the mirror underneath, and the packaging actually has the product that you would use at the very bottom. So the main shade is, again, it's very close to my shade, even though this is meant to be a bronzer. And then the bamboo pieces, which mine is kind of loose, so you see it's doing that turntable effect. Be careful of that. That's how the other one fell out and broke. That's just more of a yellowier spectrum. Neither of these are actually all that shimmery, so it's a little bit more toned down. There's not a ton of difference between the two. So here's the next set. These are all these kind of brush packaging that I absolutely cannot stand. I don't know if this is why these ended up at Dollar Tree, but these loose powders with the brushes are just, I hate the brushes. Now the product inside isn't bad at all, but I don't like to use those. You know, you could certainly do this. I twist it open to get to the product. You could certainly dip the brush in there and use it that way, but I just don't use the brush at all. So this is a blush. As you can see, it's much more pigmented. It could just be because it's loose, and so I picked up more product. It's, you know, obviously powdery because it is a loose powder, but it doesn't seem to have a ton of fallout, and it does blend out very nicely. So yeah, all in all, this one's not too bad. So here's another one. This one is actually translucent. And again, I don't know if I showed that one. These all have these little mirrors on them. So once again, I'm just unscrewing the top. I wanted to show you though, when you purchase these, they all have these little green guys in there, kind of to say this is still sealed. And then you just peel that off and shake it up, and then your product will be right there in the cap. So I'm just blending it out because, as you can see, when it first applies, it looks like there would be maybe a very pale color, but nope, it blends in, and it is in fact translucent. There may be just a tinge of illuminator in there, but I actually quite like that. So here's another one. You can see even on the brush that it's super sparkly. This is in Warming Glow, and I like this one. It's meant to be illuminating. However, it is very sparkly, and oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, that got everywhere. But that's okay. So let us swatch. As you can see, this is super aggressively sparkly. So I would not likely wear this during the day at all unless I was going to like DragCon or something where I wanted to be extra out there. Here's me trying to clean this up, but this is a piece of cardboard, so I don't really know why I care. And I'm using these Dora the Explorer wipes that I purchased at Dollar Tree. There are 80 wipes per package, and they are okay. And here are more of these brushy dispenser things in Bronze Organic. It's meant to be a bronzer, and once again it has the brush on top. I have a backup of this one because I actually really like the shade. You can see that's pretty good for my skin tone, and it's not super shimmery. Now it does have some shimmer in it, but it's not as aggressive as the other one, so I really like this one the best. The one I swatched before this is more of a turned up version of this. Here's the last of these brushy ones. I wanted to show you how they're packaged. It says it's a 3-in-1, and it's showing on the package that it's in translucent light, which would be great for me, right? But it's actually not. The bottom of the packaging has completely different information. So it looks like, based on the actual package itself, it's natural beige. I wanted to show you how this works. So here's the how-to that's included on the packaging. So there's a little button on the bottom that you press and shake if you need to, and press and shake, and that's how you get your product. So I'm pressing and shaking, and as you can see, I was beating the heck out of my hand trying to get this product out. It just... this is kind of what I mean. These are so difficult to use. How do you do that on your face with any kind of hope for precision? I got nothing. So I went ahead and just did it my normal way. Got a little product out from the product dispensary thing. Got a little product out and just applied it that way. I'm blending it out. And you can see you could potentially use this as a setting powder for your highlight, even if you had deeper tone. I think it would be just fine for someone with a lighter skin tone to use. But it's not got a lot of coverage, so it really would just be something mattifying for your final step. Okay, next up are these eyeshadows. I also got these at Dollar Tree, so far all of these are Dollar Tree purchases. I swatched some eyeshadows in my first Swatch Sunday, which were things that I purchased at Burlington Coat Factory. These are smaller palettes, and I actually find that I like them much, much better. So on the bottom there's a brush, and this is not your typical brush, even better than the ones that were included with the palettes that I swatched in Swatch Sunday number 1. This is a legit shadow brush, so give that a try. That's pretty good, and it's just anchored there in the bottom. Then on top are these two. So it's a tad powdery, not too much, but it blends out very nicely. That's just a very, very pale pink. And it's got this marble effect. I don't know if that's doing anything to change the color, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I really wish the blushes would have applied this way, because that is gorgeous. Next up is a 3-pan palette, and these are all from a baked collection. So they've got these kind of domed lids, and that mirrors the shadows themselves as they are in the pan. I got lucky and found a bunch that weren't broken, but these, I don't know if they're actually baked into the shape or if they're hollow. I'll have to see when I get a little further. So I'm doing the first swipe just to show you kind of a better look at the color. That one's very close to my skin tone. And then I'm just going back in and blending out so you can see how they blend. So these are nice. They're all being swatched dry, obviously. So you can use these wet or dry, and if you wet them, it ups the intensity. And again, I'm just showing you the packaging. This is Baked Souffle, and these are all matte from the Baked collection. I was able to find 5. I'm not sure how many there actually are. I know these were kicking around the Dollar Tree a few months ago. And you can see I lost a little powder there, so yes, there is some potential for fallout. I'm doing this dry, so I figure you'll probably see less of that if you apply them wet. So I'm just going back in to smooth those out so you can see how they blend. Love the pigmentation on these. These are just much, much better than the palettes that I picked up at Burlington. Okay, I just wanted to call attention again to the fact that there is this domed packaging, which means it's going to take up a little bit more space. This is Baked Sugar. It's called a luminous matte, and it's got a little included brush that's anchored in there. You have to kind of click it in, which means it's pretty secure. I would not travel with these though, just again because of that packaging issue with the amount of space that it takes up. I absolutely love these collections. I'm having a hard time picking a favorite. If I do have a favorite, it's probably the very last one that I'm swatching, or that I'm going to swatch. But they're all pretty good. A little powdery, again, nothing that primer or applying wet wouldn't fix. And I'm just blending it out so you can see that they actually do blend out pretty nicely. This one's called Fake Sands, and I actually quite like browns and neutrals, so that's the way to my heart. If you have a palette full of these, I'm much more likely to pick it up because brights scare me just a little bit. Again, that's pretty close to my skin tone, so this is something that I actually have considered using as a highlight contour palette because it's so pigmented, and because there's no shimmer to it, and because it blends out so well. It's just a lot of good reasons to try this, so I actually may do so. If so, I'll make sure that I report back and let you guys know how that worked. And here I'm just blending it out a little bit. So I forgot which fingers were what. So I'm just swatching it again so I can show you what they look like blended. And I'm actually using the right fingers. Okay, so this is another one of the palettes, and it's in Baked S'mores. I love this gray shade. And this is actually a very, very pale peachy kind of shade. Okay, this is the last one, Baked Sweets. I believe this is my favorite of the bunch, although it's tough to tell because they're all pretty strong contenders. And this is kind of like Neapolitan ice cream, right? Because there's this berry shade, and then the vanilla shade, which is a very pale tan, and then chocolate. So forgive the weird swatches. It's a hard angle to swatch at. So there's the chocolate blended, there's the vanilla blended, and then there's the strawberry. I think you could certainly mix and match, but the colors they put together actually do work together very nicely. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think if you've tried these. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my Instagram, Glossary of Tags.